Good morning, everyone. It's Dr. Arlene Dihamco, the MultiDimensional MD, hopping on just a little bit late here. So, as always, my mission is to help bring the intuitive aspects of health back to medicine in practical and tangible ways so that you can access more peace, love, and joy in your everyday lives. Today, I wanted to talk about understanding the root cause of illness. This is a conversation I've had several times this week. And as usual, if something comes up a few times in a week, then I feel like it's something that will be useful and helpful to share with you here. So part of the reason I want to talk about this is because the root cause, it's a term that often gets thrown around, especially in the holistic world. And it's a great idea, but sometimes I feel like the talking about it kind of falls short. So let me explain what that root cause is. And it's really about going beyond the symptoms, because in conventional medicine, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes the prescriptions and the way illness is approached is more like a Band-Aid approach. And so in the holistic world, it's about going beyond the symptoms instead of just simply using medications to counter the symptoms, to ask why the symptoms are occurring in the first place and looking at what we can do to address that. For example, allergies have skyrocketed in the last decades. And it's not just about, make sure that people have enough EpiPens or make sure everyone has Benadryl around. We need to dig deeper than that and ask, why are allergies skyrocketing? What has changed to cause that? So that's the digger deeping, like in the holistic world, that I haven't seen quite as much in the conventional world. So, even in the holistic world, I've seen practitioners and physicians talk about the root cause as being due to inflammation or food sensitivities or mold toxicity and so forth. So there is nothing wrong with that, but I would encourage you to keep digging deeper. Think about just like why? Just think about a toddler asking why all the time. So why is there inflammation? Why are there food sensitivities? Why are there allergies? Why does a person have an excess reaction, an overreaction to mold? So another part of that is if you're purely focusing on external factors of how the outer world is harming you, then keep digging deeper. That doesn't mean that there aren't external factors to address. We know the world is polluted. We know we need to clean up the oceans. We absolutely must address that kind of thing. We do need to address the toxins in the environment. It's just not the only root, and there can be other ones, often even seemingly bigger ones to address as well, because it's like asking the why, why are the oceans polluted? What are we doing? What is going on with humanity that we are acting like that? So if you consider the whole tree and you look at the root and look at the many roots, really, and look at the soil feeding those many roots. There can be lifestyle influences like sleep, diet, exercise. There can be epigenetic influences like stress and trauma from generations before you. And if we keep going, so in osteopathy, or in cranial osteopathy especially, there's a quote from Dr. William Gardner Sutherland, and he says, "As the twig is bent, so does the tree grow." So things that happen earlier in life can influence the health through the years. So even things that happen through pregnancy, through the birth. So if there's a strain pattern that happens, first we can talk about something physical. So it can change the shape of the bones, and then it can change the ongoing health through the years. You could take that twig to be like an emotional bend or a generational bend. So you can look at it in many different ways. And then when we go to the Edgar Cayce readings, there's an acronym that they use. It's called the CARE acronym, and that stands for circulation, assimilation, restoration, and elimination. So this is part of the reason that Edgar Cayce readings, he often recommended osteopathy, because osteopathy can help with all of this, but you can too. So we could talk about each one of these letters in the acronym at length, but there are simple things that you could help with each of those things, from circulation, so that's getting your blood flowing, even exercise, assimilation, how are you digesting nutrients, how are you even taking in water. And for example, it's suggested chewing your water or sipping it and holding it in your mouth a little bit before you swallowed it. So this would create like better assimilations. The same with your food, just eating well and chewing slowly, taking your time, not eating when you're feeling really stressed, because that energy and emotion sort of goes into the food. So taking time for yourself to restore yourself, to rest. So that's our restoration, to rest when you need to. And our bodies will send us so many signals of when we need to rest. In this Western culture, rest is not really something that we have like built in as much. Like some, and I mean, we don't have a siesta. We don't have that built-in nap time. Or in Europe, when the stores close in the afternoon, so everyone can take a break. I mean, how amazing would that be? But could you even imagine that in the United States? Like the stores would be closed in the afternoon because everyone went home and had a little siesta or a nap time or tea time or whatever time you have to restore. And then the elimination, being able to get rid of things, to let go of things, of toxins, of like things from the food that you need to eliminate. And also just thinking about that from a grander perspective, like your thought loops or emotional loops, or things that need to be processed, and things that you are gripping on so tightly that maybe you could kind of let go of, to the universe to take care of. So these are just ideas. I know we could talk at length about all of these things. I just wanted to give you an idea of the concept of when they say root cause, and I wanted to deepen that idea of the root cause and not just leave it at, oh, we need to completely get rid of the toxins in our body and we need to fight everything off. We also need to go inwards. So at every layer, there is health and there is something important to address. Edgar Cayce also said, spirit is alive, mind is the builder, and the physical is the result. So again, one layer is not necessarily better than another. All healing is one. We need all three in this human experience. So address whatever needs to be addressed in each layer, but not to the exclusion of another. Because sometimes I can see people getting so obsessed with one layer, saying, like feeling like their bodies are overburdened with toxins. And so the whole focus is on like getting rid of things, fighting things off. That may be something that needs to be done. However, if you exclude all the other layers and not consider what's going on in your mind, what's going on with the emotions, like whatever other things need to be processed, assimilated, let go of. So we need to address all layers, and they cannot be to the exclusion of another, even the spirit, because we are a human being. So if we just felt like we didn't have to do anything, we could just lay around on the couch and meditate all day, not eat well, or ignore our relationships. See, it doesn't really work so well. It's about bringing that spirit. So making, I guess, having a broader definition of meditation and bringing that spirit into the living. It is putting the spirit into action, into life. And that's how all healing is one. And then the last thing I wanted to comment on was from A Course in Miracles, which says that there is only one problem, and that is our perceived separation from the oneness. We feel disconnected, even though we are never separate, but we might feel like it. And so therefore, there is only one solution, realizing that we are part of the oneness, forgiving ourselves for thinking that we are not. Because in this human experience, this understanding, again, is meant to be lived out, not to stay in spirit. So to let that guide your thoughts and to let that guide your actions so that you can live it out in the physical as well. And so to me, living like this is addressing the root cause of illness. So keep asking why, keep digging deeper. The more you get to know yourself, the closer you get to the truth of who you are. And that is a beautiful emanation of the stillness. You are part of the oneness. So you always have that health within you. And by digging deeper into these deep, deep, deep root causes, then you can tap into that health spring within you. So all layers are important. All healing is one. There's not one layer that is more important than the other. I'm not discounting that not addressing like certain physical aspects in illness. That's not the point at all. It's to keep digging deeper and realize they all need to be integrated, all these layers, the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So I hope that gives you a bigger perspective on the root cause of illness. And so anytime you hear that term, then think about my expanded view of the root cause I talked about here today, and let me know what you think. If you have any questions about it, please let me know in the comments. You can always follow me on Instagram at All Worlds Health, on Facebook at All Worlds Health and Pediatrics, and you can sign up for my e-love letters. I send them out once a week on Wednesdays at allworldshealth.com. So thank you so much, Dr. Arlene Diamco. I will see you next week on another episode of the MultiDimensional MD.